This is a little bench I saw in Florida recently. It says Botox, Dr. Lester, the little picture of the Shar-Pei, and here's the phone number. We are all Dr. Lester. See that little Shar-Pei? That's our house. We need to make that Shar-Pei look like Angelina Jolie or George Clooney. That is our mission when we have a listing. How do you do that? Well, sometimes we'll start with condition. Does it need fresh paint and all those kind of things that you need? We're going to talk about that in a minute. But what if it's a dog? What if your house really is a dog? How do you make it attractive? You got to price it attractively. It's the only way to move it. So when you're out there, you got to think, I am Dr. Lester. How can I make this place attractive? Sex and Real Estate, written by a Harvard professor. Let's think about it. Every 17-year-old wants a summer romance. Every 47-year-old wants a summer home. There are trophy wives. There are trophy houses. We're selling romance, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we sell. When you go to do your description of properties, when you're doing your photos, you're selling an experience when people come to see the house. So that's why it has to be reflected that way on the internet. Experts. Here's the difference. They help sellers build equity. It is not unusual for us to say, when we see things that are awry, insist that they come in and they paint the old oak cabinets. They're going to have to put in some new fixtures. They have to do the floors. They're going to have to paint. What's the curb appeal? We're going to talk about that in a minute, but you have to help your sellers build the equity. There's an equity position in every house. Is the buyer going to get it or the seller going to get it if it needs work? When I have buyers, I say there's two kinds of houses to buy. The one that's been really well maintained but is cosmetically challenged, because you can build equity in those houses, or the one that's way over improved because they can't get their money back and you couldn't afford to do all those nice things. Right? Make sense? Experts have concrete actions for sellers to make the most money. And you're going to discuss those with the seller before you see the house and before you ever meet them. We'll talk about that in a second. Experts display great photos, web commercials, and visual tours. They fill out the MLS completely. They prepare the seller to deal with offers in advance. They anticipate problems, and they offer solutions to deal with known problems up front. For example, who here has a house and they know they got a better offer than it'll ever appraise for? There's just no comps in that particular market. It happens. We've had a couple of those. So we write a letter and put it right in with the MA pass saying, hi, we want to let you know this house won't appraise. You're going to need more than 20% down. We're not going to readjust the price of this house later. But you know you paid that much because you've looked at everything else in the market too. And you know it's worth more. That was particularly hard when we weren't selling those high ends in Melrose. You've got to think that way. When you know you have a problem, then they buy in. 2 weeks ago, we sold a house, a few weeks ago, we sold a house for, I'm doing the math quick, $421, it was on for $389, or $420, we sold for $420. And they had put dutifully in their offer, subject to house appraising at purchase price. They were 50% down. Let's have this discussion. You don't need this to appraise. Do you think you overpaid? Because if you do, I want to know now, because I have an offer that's $1,000 more than you, but we're taking yours because you're 50% down. So if this is subject to the appraisal, we're going to take the other guy because it's more money. I don't want, if they have more than 20% down, as a listing agent, I don't want to see that line subject to appraisals because now you're sweating it out. You shouldn't have to be in that position. Are they comfortable with their price or not? Flush them out in the beginning. You have all kinds of negotiating power before you sign the offer. Then you've lost it. You have to anticipate all those problems. What if it was only a 5% down buyer? They need that appraisal to go. So as part of the offer, that I often have the appraiser come in before we send the purchase and sale. Because I don't have time for the crap. It's got to be done now. Let's get them committed to picking their bank and getting the appraiser out here. And I'll have the answer 5 days after purchase and sale, and I know whether I got a deal. We can't afford the problems, and your seller doesn't want to be put out 45 days either. When do these appraisals come back? Oh, 3 days before closing. You've got to fix them. All right. Experts return their calls the same day and they communicate well. Experts also are diplomatic, they're composed, they're nice, and they're in control. We have those kind of listing god and goddesses out there, and they're impossible. They're alienating everyone, and they think they have control. I will tell you, as a listing agent, if you're nice, you're going to get a lot more. The parties have to work together now to get a deal done. They write excellent property descriptions, and they create that experience. They stay on top of the transaction. You know, you're putting the dates in. Do you know what's going on when? Okay, here's my other pet peeve. The day before financing or the day of financing, everyone's calling going, oh, I need an extension. A listing broker will call and say, did you get your financing? I'm telling you now, I never call anybody, another buyer's agent, and ask if financing is all set till the clock has struck midnight and I got their deposit on hold. Because now they better damn get a loan or they're going to lose their 5%. Right? These are simple techniques because now they really have incentive. But if you are encouraging them to get extensions, they'll extend right up until the closing, and now you don't have a closing. You've got to think smart about all of these things. You have to prepare an excellent CMA with a marketing strategy. Do you have a marketing strategy? Put it in writing. What do? You only have to write it once. Just change the address at the top. You're doing the same thing for all of them. Maybe you do a little something special for, another house. Put your marketing strategy in writing. I have had so many estates because the attorney said, you're the only one that had a marketing strategy. Took me 3 seconds to print it. It's already done. You're already doing marketing. Write it down. You have to understand how to read and explain the market data. It's okay if you start embracing this without fully understanding it. I consider the absorption rates my crystal ball. That's how I know if prices are going up, down, or if they're stable. So we go through the absorption rates, and you can see the seller's eyes glaze over. That's okay. It looks like I know what I'm talking about. It inspires confidence. And besides, our competition doesn't have that stuff. You can call that up at the table anywhere and blow away the stuff we have that our competition doesn't have. There's not another company on the planet that can give the market exposure to your clients to sell a house. Any bozo comes to RE/MAX, they'll have better market exposure than anywhere else. With the market data, you can't lose. Make sure the seller discloses flaws and problems up front. I know this is a sensitive issue. I know companies where they don't want to tell people there's water in the basement. Let me tell you about one of my listing sheets. It's got a picture on it, but it is full of the things that you absolutely need to have. How old's the roof? You know, I'd say 80% of my roofs are end of life. How old's the heating system? Oh, end of life. Why? Because they're 20 plus years old, they're fully depreciated, and I know that the home inspector is going to tell the buyer that it's end of life. And I'm not negotiating $5,000 or $7,000 after the home inspection. So I always get these calls going, what's wrong with the heating system? Oh, nothing. It's just fully depreciated. I want your people to know that if the home inspector tells them it could go today or, it'll last another 10 years, that they're buying into that up front. I don't want to negotiate after an offer on anything but mold. I will negotiate on radon and on termites. And then something you just could not have known. Like you don't know the inside of the heating system has just blown itself out. If there's a reason you couldn't market the property to disclose it and buyers would run, sellers have to fix it. Other than that, we have some documents for you to use so you put everyone on the same page. My letter on offers and home inspection says, hi, welcome to Metro Boston. This house is used. So don't make an offer expecting, that when you do the home inspection, that my seller is going to take care of the laundry list of items that will inevitably come up. Matter of fact, let me tell you right now that your home inspector is going to find ways for you to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. Please take that into consideration now and make your offer accordingly. Experts know how to price, and they create reality for sellers. Pricing is so important. We're going to talk about pricing in a little bit, but Are you creating the reality for sellers?